Better 1 2 years ago.
Robert thinks it's normal, so he's a bit relaxing there. I'll just start with the chair's opening statement, if that's okay, colleagues. So welcome to this meeting of the Inverclyde IJB. This meeting has been held remotely and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The IJB is a joint data controller within the Inverclyde Council and NHS Greater Inverclyde under the General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act of 2018. This meeting will be broadcast and recorded to fulfil a public path obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during this remote meeting will be retained in accordance with the Council's public policies available through the Council's website. Members of the IJB are reminded that they should follow the IJB's established meeting protocol, including around the use of the chat. And a colleague made the chat facility of this means all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public, who have also received invites to the meeting. Okay, first order of business then, if we can go to apologies, substitutions and declarations.
We have the following apologies for absence. We have apologies for absence from Charlene Elliott, Laura Moore, Adam Smith and Kenny Watt. Chair will now move to a roll call before asking for declarations of interest. Can the following members please indicate if they're present at the meeting, either in person or remotely? David Gould.
In person.
Councillor Brennan.
Present in person.
Councillor Moran.
In the chamber.
Councillor Quinn.
Present remotely.
Councillor Reynolds.
Present remotely.
Dr Metcalf.
I'm just chatting. Becky said that she can't hear anything right now, so she's present remote.
Sorry, I just heard something. I'm present remotely. Sorry, I couldn't hear anything up until that point.
Giovanni D'Alessio.
Present remotely.
Dr Paul Ryan.
Present in the chamber.
Kate Rocks.
Present in the chamber.
Jonathan Hines.
Present in the chamber.
Craig Given.
Present in the chamber.
Dr Hector MacDonald.
Present remotely.
Dr Chris Jones. Present remotely. Jackie McIntyre. Jackie McIntyre.
She's up there.
Heather Davis.
Present in chamber.
And Stephen McLaughlin.
Present remotely.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Great. Okay, good to move on then. In that case, moving on to items for action. Number 2, the minute of the meeting of the Inverclyde IJB. I'll just ask if colleagues have any comments on these points of clarification or amendment on consent to accept these matter representative of the last meeting. I'll just put them out and taking that the silence means we're happy to accept those. Excellent, okay. We then move on to item number 3, which is the rolling action list. The first one of these is new developmental pathways. Katrina will speak to this, but Kate, can I ask you to speak to it? That's okay.
We've got it listed for an update around November, so we'll take something back then.
Perfect, and then if we move on to item number 2, again, Kate, I think this is with you.
Yeah, I'm proposing that it circulated to the board. I'm looking at a range of options, so that will go to the board after the meeting today.
And then we don't have margin for item number 3. Jonathan, you something to this?
Thank you, Kara. There have been some changes within our children and family structure, and Margaret's currently absent from work, but we're joined today by Anna Donnelly, who's our interim chair, our interim head of service for children and families and justice. Given that Anna's only recently joined as chair, I would suggest that we can bring it back on item 3 for the next IJB. Happy with that?
Excellent. And then moving on to item number 4, update on lines again. As for yourself, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, again, for similar circumstances, I would ask if it would be acceptable for him back at the next IJB to provide that update on the lens project as well.
Content with that, colleagues, we content with that, just looking round? I'm seeing nodding, excellent, okay. And then closure of Inverclyde Centre, Maxine, just yourself?
Yeah, there's a quote being prepared just now, so that'll be at the next IJB.
June. And then for GP services, we have a paper in June as well. Okay, thank you for that. And please, if we then move on to, we have a report yet going forward planning, that has not changed from the last meeting. I suppose we continue that any week. Thank you. So we can move on to agenda item number 4. This is the financial monitoring report for period 11. Craig, over to your good self.
Thank you for yourself. This is our finance paper that we bring forward for the IJB cycle, and it covers a number of main areas. It covers period 11 projected 25-26 outturn, our current capital position and our reserves position. The paper also gives an update on our progress against the savings targets that we've had. As at period 11, we're currently projecting an underspend of 736,000 for the combined IJB budget. Social care budget is projecting an overspend of 309,000 and the health budget is projecting an underspend of 1.045 million. Obviously, by year end, we will transfer any underspend to reserves if required to bring this position back to break even. As always, there are a number of over and underspends within the total budget. Starting with the social care side of the budget, the main driver for the total overspend is due to the children and families projected £3.264 million overspend, and this is mainly due to residential placements and child respite overspends. This forms part of the overall children and families redesign that Margaret and Anna are currently taking forward. Additional funding from Inverclyde Council was provided as part of the budget process and has helped and will help in the future with this review. We also have the use of the non-recurring pension monies to assist with the smoothing of this particular pressure, and we're using this to help us within the overall budget. As we know, this will come to an end at the end of this financial year, and we factored this into our 26-28 budget process, which we concluded and had approved in March of this year. Also within the budget's land disability is projecting overspend, and due to client commitments, we have a separate smoothing reserve to help out in this area. But at this point, due to the bottom line being the way it is with the IJB budget, we've chosen not to use it at this particular point. We also have partially offset by underspends in the older persons budget. Looking at the health side of the budget, the underspend is mainly due to vacancies across a number of departments. Prescribing is now showing an £850,000 underspend position, and these are the main reasons for the overall underspends within health. The next section highlights the HSCP's progress to date in the achievement of the in-year agreed savings. As you can see, good progress was made in the delivery of our savings, and also in addition to this report, you will remember we met in December and we approved VER releases to assist with the final savings to be delivered. These will be delivered in 26-27. Section 7 shows our overall earmarked reserves position, and it shows we started the year with £17.144 million, and we expect to finish the year at £15.654 million based on the current projections. Our total general and smoothing reserves are expected to be £6.711 million, and this represents 2.88% of our total funding and falls within our agreed levels that we've got. Moving on to capital, Section 7 shows the current capital position. The Community Hub project has already started and is due for completion in the summertime, and also highlights the spend to date we've had. As we know, this is a period 11 position. We're currently working on the overall year-end accounts at the moment, the final position. We've not finished that at the moment, but I expect it to be pretty much similar to what we're showing at period 11. I'm not seeing any major surprises coming out at this point. As always, there's a lot in this report, as I always understand, but as always, happy to take any questions anyone might have.
Thanks, Craig. Colleagues, I'll open it up. Paul, do you want to add in first?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Robert, you got your back
Just,
first.
so the 4.4, you know, that with the reduction in the employee subordination contributions, you know, it's been a real help to us, there's no doubt. But I mean, going forward for 25, 26, 27, that money will not be there. So it's leaving a bit of a black hole, really, you know. So I hope we're taking measures to make sure that we feel compensate for this windfall we're having at the moment.
Through yourself, yes, absolutely. And when we looked at the 26-28 budget process, that was one of the main drivers for it, and that's one of the main reasons that was driving our £6.5 million savings initiatives that we completed in March. So we were updating that as we're going through the next few cycles, but we have savings processes and schemes in place which should hopefully cover us for this period of time, and we'll obviously give the update to the IJB if we move through that.
No, thank you. I mean, what they're saying is that fund is really over provincial at the moment, and we might even get another year out it, you know, later on, because it is fully funded at the moment for it to cover. So hopefully we might get some more benefit out of that going forward.
Robert, I'll bring in Kate at this point.
So I would just want to commend some of the good work that has been going on in Children and Families to pull this back. So last year we were higher, we were sitting at 4 million, so it's actually down by £1 million. And with the various incentives that we've put in place of intensive family support, we think that there will be a gradual decrease in the amount of children that are required to be placed out with local authority. And as Craig said, we've already factored this in our saving profile projections. So we hope to, by these savings projections across HSEP, we'll be able to deliver on a balanced budget in children, or across HSEP, with the efficiencies being made over the next 2 years by changing the balance of care for children.
Nice, thanks.
Thanks, Kate. Paul.
Thanks. I was going to pick up on Robert's point about the superannuation. When do we find out the rates going forward? Is it have any indication what the rates could be? You had the holiday for the past 2 years, but did they go back to the old rates, or have we had an indication of when what the rates will be?
So, to yourself, Chair, I understand that's still an ongoing process at the moment, but it's one that we're keeping a regular look on. We are hoping that there might be some news on that soon around how the pensions are looking for the next few years. But as soon as I know that, I'll bring that back to the IJB.
Okay. The other thing was saying that your reserve at 2.8%, sitting with some other IJBs, think they'd bite your hand off for that, quite honestly.
Aye.
I think there's only the one that makes this over 2%. I shouldn't have to be this one. The other 50 will not. So well done.
So that's a good point, very well made, Paul, in terms of the level of care that's been taken, level of financial planning to get us to this point. That doesn't happen by accident, quite frankly. We've also all been involved in terms of the budget setting process, the 2-year budget going forward as well. It's always a tricky one. We say, why are you keeping reserves when there's demand for service? But there's very good financial reason, good governance reason for doing that, because we don't know what's coming in the future down the pipe. So having those reserves is absolutely essential to enable us to manage as we do, as the organisation does. So yes, I just commend the work of the team involved in that, not just the finance team as well, but everyone's involved in that, and generating these savings and carefully managing our finances. It's a good place to be in. Much rather be here than in some others who have real challenges going forward. Okay. Any other questions or comments on the finance paper? Not seeing any. Craig, you've got off light with that one today. In that case, if we can then move on to item number 5, the Strategic Partnership Plan Performance Update. Jonathan, are you going to speak to this?
Thank you, Chair, through yourself, Lana, introduce the paper which has been brought today to provide IJB members with an update on progress against our current strategic partnership plan. This is our 6-monthly progress report, and also includes the outcome framework, which includes a number of indicators which we measure performance. The outcomes framework continues to be developed. But I'm going to hand over Scott Bryan, our Planning, Performance and Equality Service Manager, who'll be able to provide a bit more further information into this paper.
Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. So yeah,
So this report presents two reports to the IJB. So one is our 6-monthly progress report, which covers the strategic plan actions from the period from October last year to March this year. And the second one will be the first iteration of the outcomes framework, which we're looking to introduce to the Integration Joint Board today. So the first report will then update on delivery of our strategic partnership plan actions. And overall, it shows a positive position, with the majority of actions progressing as planned. The plan contains 32 strategic actions, and at the end of March, 81% of those were assessed as being on track, with the remainder slightly adrift, and with no actions assessed as off track. So we don't have any red actions. In terms of that, across all the priorities, we're seeing sustained progress in embedding early help, prevention and strengthening community-based supports, and improving partnership working. There are a number of good examples in the report of this practice, including the continued expansion of whole family approaches, our approach to trauma-informed frontal services, and our strengthening community pathways, particularly in mental health and recovery services. At the same time, the report does highlight we have 6 amber actions, so that's 19%, and these are largely reflected as system pressures, including workforce capacity, increasing demand, and the complexity of delivering change at an increasing pace. In a number of areas, work is still progressing, but it remains at a developmental stage with the full impact still to be realised. I think it's worth noting in terms of the ambers, across all the amber actions, the common theme is not necessarily a lack of progress, it's just that we're still waiting for them to be embedded properly. So we're still progressing in the right track. It's just making sure that we can embed those activities properly, and then we can start to demonstrate the real impact from those. The second paper is our outcomes framework, and this is the first time it's been presented to the Integration Joint Board, and it's an important step forward in how we strengthen our understanding and evidence how we're progressing towards the strategic partnership plan. So it provides a structured view of our performance across our strategic priorities and begins to establish our baseline within our key measures. Again, this still remains a developing position. We are still developing the outcomes framework to ensure that it's meaningful in terms of what we're trying to measure. With a number of indicators are still being refined and further work in terms of identifying data sources, improving data quality, and ensuring that we have that consistent level of information for the IJB, so we can properly demonstrate that our level of outcomes that we're delivering. There are some early positive signs within the data, though. For example, improvements such as our reablement outcomes, or care support plan completion, and the proportion of children who are actually living within Inverclyde as opposed to being looked after with the area. At the same time, there are areas where performance is either mixed or incomplete, including within our mental health pathways, access to services, and some community-based measures where data still being established or validated. So there is a good bit of work that we're still doing there to develop the outcomes framework as we go. But taking these two together, it does show a balanced picture showing that the strategic partnership plan is progressing well. And we're making steady progress against our actions and continue to shift towards our prevention and early help approaches and those community-based supports as well. And we'll continue to strengthen how we measure our performance going forward, and that further development of our outcomes framework, so we can continue to prove the value of the work that we're doing through our strategic partnership plan. So I know there's still a lot within the report, so happy to take any questions on that. Thank you very much. Before we open it up, can I just say I very much welcome this the outcomes framework in Appendix 2. It's such a powerful document in terms of seeing, making clear what if we don't measure, it becomes effectively meaningless. The fact that we've got so many measurables in here, so many KPIs. So one of the best ways we can see trends as well. From a governance perspective, that gives me a great deal of reassurance, and we can actually, as a board, assess and challenge, and it's good to see, and then we can measure, maintain, we assess, and then make changes as required, depending on how our interventions are having effect or not, as the case may be. So for me, this is great. I know it's an incomplete document as such. We're still working on it. I say incomplete, but we're still working on it. There's a ways to go, but this is fabulous. As chair, this is what I hope to see. I'm really pleased to see. Yeah.
Okay, come back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Chair. I think just on that, what we should have mentioned as well is we're still in the first year of baselining quite a lot of this information. So once we've done that, we'll be able to establish effective targets, and then obviously from that, establish a rolling form for better evidence.
Brilliant. In that case, now that I've sung the praises, I'll open it up. Paul.
And thanks for the report. I was reading this last night and I wondered, is there a typo 1.4? Didn't understand. In the 32 actions, 28 are in target and 6 are not.
You know what page it is?
And page 33, 1.4.
Yeah,
could be simple maths on my part.
I think it is actually, that's what I got.
Yeah,
I think it should be 26.
Yeah.
And someone doesn't tie in with the figures across the page, so that's under that there. I mean, it's the first thing.
Yeah.
The other thing was, when reading through this last night on the paper copy, is that, for future reference, is it possible to flag it which is amber? Because in black and white, it's not easy to figure out which is amber, which is not. Although it's on the website, works out all right. So, but in fact, a real serious question though. You said that 6 were delayed. Strategic issues, organisational. Can you expand on that? What's the delays are? Any common themes?
Sorry, Paul.
Any common themes as to the 6 that are running sort of slightly behind? You mentioned that it was sort of strategic. I think you mentioned issues of that. Is there any particular reason why the 6 are not?
Yeah, so for example, just give me 1 second. So for example, within Action 2.1, what is referred to as workforce capacity issues and pressures in order to actually progress some of the work that's taking place. So for example, that's looking at how we engage effectively and deliver sort of information services in terms of our mental health and how to access that, our mental health services and how to access that. I think there's just a demand in terms of how we can do that. But that has been progressed. One of the key things we're doing within the next month will be our mental health information day, and that's one of the things that will progress this action as well.
And it's in my chief officer's
Right.
report. Okay.
And can I ask also if it's coming out in black and white, can you flag up which one's amber, which one's green? Because I couldn't tell the difference.
Yes, so I think we're using the Pentana system, and that's how that comes out. That's the same shape, but we can certainly.
Oh no, it's just even with amber. It's just in black and white, exactly the same.
Yes, no, we'll look at flagging that there.
I have the same problem, and I have to go on and so we'll make sure that when it is data that has got colours in it, that will get it printed off.
Oh no, I mean, even if it's a bit amber beside it.
Yeah.
Paul, thank you. Sorry, Paul, thank you. Francesca.
Thanks very much, Chair. I was just wanting to ask a bit more about the mental health information and awareness day as well, but I can save that. I can spoiler alert on your chief officer's report, Kate, but it was good to see that, and I've seen it advertised on billboards around Inverclyde. I know that the managing pain event that we had already was really well attended. I can't remember if it was another one about women's health, but it was just to see if you've got a sense already that you think this event is going to be as well attended as the managing pain one was. Do you feel has it been advertised sufficiently and lots of information out there?
Yes, it's oversubscribed and we've got people waiting.
Okay, so a good and a bad thing in that, isn't it? That's really good.
Well, actually, it's more providers waiting to
sort of exhibit,
but we think with the demand that we've got with the providers, there's a likely footfall with the public too.
Right, okay, so oversubscription from providers, and we hope that lots of members of the public will come along, but you'll fill us in on that after it's happened. That's good to hear. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Colleagues, any more for any more? Not seeing any. Okay, in that case, we have 3 asks from this paper to know the contents of the 6-monthly performance report, know the contents of the first information outcomes framework, and recognise the significant progress made in progressing the strategic partnership plan. And I take it that we are content with all those recommendations. And we see nods. Excellent. And thank you for that. And Trish Doctor again, really good piece of work just getting us to this point. There's an awful lot that's gone into this. You can tell not just how much there is to read, but actually what goes behind it. So thank you to the team, everyone involved in getting us to this point. It's really good. Okay. In that case, if we move on to agenda item number 6, that's the care at home impact of the report. Would that be yourself again, Scott? It's Kate going to take this.
Okay, I'll introduce it, David, because my colleagues are here that helped to pull all this together. So if I explain the context, if you remember that roughly in 2023, the IJB took the decision, should we look at our remuneration and our pathways, our career pathways for our care at home service, our social care workforce as we now call them. And actually, as a result, that we've seen significant improvements within that area. They contribute greatly to hospital discharge and us having one of the strongest hospital discharges, and with our ambition for people to stay in their own homes and not go into institutional care. So actually we are probably doing very well in that area. But we were curious to see how it would impact on the community in terms of Inverclyde being one of, I highlighted as an area of deprivation and poverty within Scotland, and to see if by paying our social care workforce an improvement, would we be taking our own workforce and the community and families out of poverty. So we did a bit of analysis. That analysis was prompted mainly by Scottish Government because they had recognised that we were funding, we funded probably one of the highest hourly rates for an in-house home care service, so it's commendable to the IJB and the council for supporting that decision in 2023. So I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder, I'm just going to hand it over, and I don't know who's going first.
I'll go first. Thanks, Kate. Okay, so in 2023 we initiated a comprehensive review of the care at home service, and that was in response to a significant workforce challenges that we were experiencing on a daily basis. We were facing an unstable workforce marked by high levels of staff turnover, with many of our workers saying they were leaving to seek roles in other sectors such as retail, which at that time the pay rate was comparable. Our pay rate at that time did not reflect the complexity and responsibility of the role, as well as staff reporting feelings of being undervalued and under-recognised. These workforce challenges were impacting the consistency of quality of care that we were able to deliver, and it was essential for us to deliver and get to the root cause of this and build a more professional, stable and motivated workforce. The review led to a redesign of the home support worker role and we re-provisioned as a social care worker role with an upgraded pay grade and expanded responsibilities. This change was pivotal in stabilising our workforce, which resulted in a significant reduction in staff leavers and improving the morale and wellbeing across the team. Not detailed within the report, however, I'm delighted that I can share with you that this positive trend continued through 25-26 and the number of leavers decreased to 62, and furthermore where vacancies have remained low. Another positive impact is that from October 24 we've recorded 0 delayed discharges from hospital caused by waiting on a package of care. This represents a tremendous achievement for our service and the community, ensuring that our people can return home sooner where they thrive in familiar surroundings, and we're extremely proud of this. We remain committed to sustaining these improvements, and our recruitment and retention efforts continue to be robust, supported by successful fast-track recruitment events and weekly interview opportunities, which help maintain a steady inflow of our staff. Notably, the positive impact of a more stable and engaged workforce was reflected in our recent care inspection, where we received grade 5 for all key inspected areas, and one of these included the quality of our staff team. And I'll just pass you on to Scott to provide further insight to the report from a poverty perspective.
Thanks, Alana. Yeah, so absolutely. So one of the key benefits of the change in the review was actually the impact on poverty and social care workforce's salaries. So the role redesign and salary uplift for social care workers has had a significant impact on reducing in-work poverty among the workforce, most of whom live locally in Inverclyde. Following implementation in August 23, staff received a 4% salary increase, and so alongside long-term pay progression linked to the role. So as a result, the starting salary for a full-time social care worker has consistently remained above the national poverty line, and that's obviously defined as 60% of the median income. So in 2023, the starting salary for a social care worker was £26,218, and this exceeded the poverty threshold by £4,291, with this gap widening progressively up to 2020 to £4,779 by 2025. The salary growth within the HSCP has increased greater than the national poverty line over the same period. So again, this indicates a sustained improvement rather than a one-off gain for our workforce. For staff at the top of the scale, it's an even greater gap between the poverty line. The earnings are even further above the poverty line, reaching £6,901 above it and above the threshold in 2025. And this is basically providing a greater level of financial resilience within our workforce, moving away from relative poverty. So overall, the pay uplift has not only improved individual financial security, but also contributes positively to the local economy. As we highlighted, that most of our workforce actually live and reside in Inverclyde, so this moving these people away from poverty is obviously having that greater impact on our communities as they are we're helping to address local deprivation and inequalities.
And if I could just add that we have sent this report to Scottish Government at their request, and are awaiting some comment back about it, but we were able to get evidence that the improvements not only within our resilience as a workforce, but the impact it was for people. So thank you.
Colleagues, I'll open it up. Robert.
Aye, thanks, Chair. I mean, this is music to my ears, this report, I have to say. And I know nobody worked hard like Kate to drive it forward, this. Because I'm grow-fast. I always thought, you know, nurses, doctors, teachers, you know, vocation. But I want to add this group to that vocation, because at the vocation, you couldn't pay enough money, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, you have to give a reasonable salary for the work to do. But they are special people, there's no doubt about that. A lot of people come into the care sector, think they can do it, and after a couple of months, they're away. And it's not always about money, it's about feeling appreciated, people know you're doing a good job. And of course, a salary should match our expectations, what we expect of the people that work in the sector. And I, for one, am very, very glad this report. It's a long time coming, but at least we know that we feel appreciate the work they do, and they're given a reasonable salary to do it. So I say it's a great report. Thank you for the authors.
Thank you, Robert. Paul.
I think Robert's comments here. That's quite a stunning reduction, 45%. It's very impressive. I'm very impressed with your figures of no delayed discharges. Can I show my ignorance here? Is the pay scales nationally set? Do they have to go through council, or do they set minimum levels? Or
no, each local authority, obviously it needs to meet with the living wage, but each local authority set their own, or HSEP set their own pay scales. So if you think about when we came and asked you in 23, we had to redesign our services and pull money across the board. There wasn't additional money. We looked at our spend and our balance of care, and our care homes used some of that to bring it in. So no, you've got 31 iterations or 32 iterations of pay scales. But within the GGC area, I believe that we pay the hands.
Colleagues, any other questions or comments?
Can I just say,
Robert, come back in.
No, just say that because Kate was saying there, when we looked at this in the past, people were going to North Ayrshire and Renfrewshire because it was a better pay. You know, I mean, if you lived in Inverclyde was basis, you get large what it is to come up to Greenock, and vice versa, live the top of Port Glasgow, which is Renfrewshire. So we knew there was a challenge here, and I think the officers took it on board. And now, hopefully, the people feel living in Renfrewshire or North Ayrshire, want a job here, we can accommodate. You know, that was it. It was like we're both each other's workers at that point, you know, and hopefully this is going away to stop this.
Thanks, Robert. Gio, see if you can hand up. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, again, very, very clear report. So thank you for all the authors for the clarity of it. Again, looking at the chart at page 3, so we moved from 156 to 78 in just a couple of years. What's the expectation going forward? Are we actually going to make further changes? And what I suppose, what is at the baseline that we are aspiring to?
Well, we'd like to say 0.
Realistically, I didn't say we are dreaming of.
I mean, we haven't done that calculation, Gio, but it's probably something that we probably want to go back and have a think about. We want to actually have a look at, because one of the changes that we've made recently, our Mary is now the head of intensive services, and we have made underneath that intensive services and support is care at home and our resettlement and integration workers within homelessness and asylum. And we want to look at the capacity we can build across the social care workforce. So we're keen to do a wee bit of work even around our external home care provision and to see what is the art of the possible, because it's working for us. By delivering this service in-house, it's working for us. So we're away to do more work. So that will be really dependent on other areas that we look at and how do we recruit. But what I would like to see, my biggest ambition, is to see a care at home worker become a social worker or an OT through this pathway. That's our ambition, and that's why we agreed that we would look at it not only from a remuneration point of view, but around people developing new skills and new opportunities. I hope that answers your question, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, okay, I understand it's a difficult question. I guess where I was going with the question was at which point of time we think the effort that we are doing on retention is sufficient paired up with the effort that we're doing on recruitment to keep a steady, balanced workforce. That's where I was trying to go with, and I kind of your answers, goes in that direction.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Colleagues, any other questions or comments at this point? I'm not seeing any. From my perspective, I have to say again, a very, very welcome paper. One tip we're interested in is to understand going forward, if you allow me, are we sharing our learnings with the other HSCPs? Because there feels like there's an awful lot here that could be shared with the other 5 HSCPs, looking at particularly delayed discharges, also in terms of maintaining relationships with service users as well, because we've got the downward trend in terms of number of leavers. That a clear benefit is our service users are that relationship they build up and the level of trust they build up as well gets maintained. You have a better understanding, so there's potentially a better level of care. So just get a sense of that, if that's possible.
Yeah, I have shared this paper with some of the HSCPs that have got particularly challenged around poverty and inequality in their own area. I'm happy to go and take it back and have that discussion with the chief officers if we can, and we'll send it out across the GGNC.
That's Kate.
Yeah, just to come in, as a service manager, I attend fortnightly care and support at home GGNC and partnerships meeting every fortnight with South Lanarkshire, North Lanarkshire, all GGNC, and that's what that means about shared learning and helping each other. It's a difficult service.
Brilliant, thank you very much for that. So, colleagues, I think I can take from the very positive questioning around the room that we are content to note this paper and all the excellent work that's going on and continues to go on. Thank you for that, everyone. In that case, if we can then move on to items for noting and routine decisions, the Chief Officer's Report. Kate, over to you itself.
Okay. It is quite a brief report today, because we felt that we wanted to spend a bit of time around our strategic planning and our focus framework, because that was really important to us. So our delayed discharge processes is that we're sitting at 15 delays and 7 are sitting as AWI complex. Maxine Ward has moved to the head of health and community care, and she'll be taking on a bit of work to look at the AWI. And we also were given funding by Scottish Government to do a test to change, one of very few local authorities. The only local authority in Scotland that were given this money to do the test to change to see if we could make a difference in terms of the funding. And it was a funding, I know that there's been other tests to change around AWI. This was a recent fund. So I think we got roughly around £270,000 to do a test to change in that area. So we're quite pleased. And if we, as I say, if we got the delays down around AWI and people with complex needs, I think that we went back to single numbers again. And to be fair, that's where we spent most of our winter. So they are up a bit. So it was just, the next one was World Social Work Day, and I know that some of the IJB members were at that day, and Jonathan, as a Chief Social Work Officer, led that day, and it was a fabulous day. It was a real celebration, first time we've ever done it in Inverclyde, and Councillor Moran was there too. I'm trying to think around the room if I missed anyone. but it was actually a really, really good day, and I think the workforce really benefited. It really helped us to kind of consolidate the benefit of what social work and what social work brings and social care to that health and social care partnership in terms of the outcome focused work and ensuring that we are not only keeping people safe, but we're trying to protect and promote their well-being. So the next bit has been already highlighted, and I'm not going to say any more about that, about the Mental Health and Self-Awareness and Self-Management Day. Katrina is delighted with the response that I've had from the third sector around just as demonstrators at the event, and we feel that as a result that we hope that the public will come along, and I would ask if anyone is around in the IJB members, they're more than welcome to come along and hopefully they'll enjoy that. So that is my Chief Officer's report.
Kate, thank you very much for that. Oh, I'll see Gio's got his hand up. Gio, is that a legacy hand? Or is that's a legacy hand? Okay, in that case, Paul, you're up.
Thanks for the report. Can I ask a bit more of your test of change? What financial year are we talking about? Is it last year carried forward, or a 1 year thing, or what's the duration of it?
So it's for this year carry forward. Yeah, so we're just starting our steering group around that just now to build the implementation plan around that. So yeah.
So it'll be exhausted at the end of this financial year, is that right?
Yes.
It'll be finished at the end of this financial year, 27.
Yes.
Thanks, Paul. Colleagues, any other questions or comments for Kate and the team? I think, Gio, you had your hand up. That was a legacy hand, wasn't it, Gio? I'm seeing nods. Okay, in that case, it looks like we are content with the update. Thank you very much, Kate. In that case, if we move on to agenda item number 8A and 8B, these are the minutes of the last two meetings of the IJB Audit Committee. Becky, is there anything you'd like to draw our attention to on these at this point?
No, I didn't chair the last one. I think Lynn did. I chaired the one before that, but no, I'm happy with it.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, and then we'll just take those for information. In that case, we shall then move on to the private element of the session. So anyone who not to be here, if we can kindly leave and go offline, then I'll wait for the team to confirm.